Hey guys, how are we today? It's good to see you, K Braze. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? And Hippie Chick, how are you today? It's good to see all you guys. And Tony, it's good to see you too. Hey guys, have you guys been keeping up with this case? Well, you guys know the last time that I was live was Monday when everything, like an hour before I went live, is when they caught him. I had everything prepared to go over the timelines and all of that stuff about the quote unquote perpetrator. And then an hour before, we got a name and everything. And then since then, it has just been the spigot has been opened. That's for sure, for sure. Um, Yesterday, I had I had everything ready to go to, but I didn't have any Wi-Fi, and you got to have that to share screen and stuff like that. So I'll show you guys. I know that you guys can watch News Nation and things like that on your own, and I so I've tried to find stuff that hopefully you wouldn't see other places. And so I figured we could talk about that. And guys, also, I was talking to my Discord and about this case. I was feeling bad because I had empathy for him, and not the kind of empathy where I'm gonna be like Wade Wilson and be a kiosk chick, not like that. Definitely not like that. But just kind of empathy. I think because he had a oh guys, also while I'm thinking about it, some of the news reporters, they say instead of saying Luigi, they say Louis G. Like they say Louis and then G, but I think it's Luigi, don't you guys? But anyway, and so I was having empathy. I think because a big part of it was because that he had a severe back injury, and in his, he's in his early 20s, and when I broke my back, I was 20 years old exactly. And so that kind of hit home for me. And then so one of my friends, she said, empathy is understanding, not excusing. And that I've been holding on to that ever since, because that's so true. We can have empathy and understand, but still not excuse, So just in case you guys were feeling the same way, I thought I would share that with you guys too. Um, I also have, so I think that when we were here the last time, we knew that he was picked up at a McDonald's, and I have the criminal complaint that tells us a little bit more about that. So I figured we could look at that first. Um, Let me see here. Okay, and also, guys, this hey Brat, how are you? Oh no, that sucks. Hey 71, how are you? It's that time of year, isn't it? It's okay. I got it, Brat. If you need to step away, I got it. It's no problem. Um so I figured that we could look at that first. And let me get us to where we need to be exactly. I'm going to have to minimize you guys for a second. Then let me find where I'm going. Let me see here. Okay, so these two are just the time and date and stuff like that. And it has his birthday on there. And to see that he was born in 1998 was just like, whoa, that, that makes you feel your age. That's for sure. And that's another thing, you guys, all these ladies that are all love-eyed about this dude. It's like, guys, he looks like a scared kid to me. You know, I don't feel attracted to him in the least. You know, besides him being um, an alleged killer. You know, but so this is the criminal complaint, and it tells us a little bit more that happened that morning. So this is what they had to write to get the charges in Pennsylvania. So now he's got charges in Pennsylvania and New York. So in Pennsylvania, he's got forgery because he had the fake ID, and he got carrying a firearm. I said firearm without a license, which is a grade 3 felony, and then tampering with records or identification, grade 1 misdemeanor, possessing instruments of crime, which is a misdemeanor, and false identification to law enforcement, grade 3 misdemeanor. Well, that's good to know, 71. That's really good to know. Oh, okay, so this is what they had to write to. They arrested him at the time, but I think this is like what they call a probable cause affidavit. And so it says, on the aforementioned date and time on December 9th, 2024 at 9:14 hours, affiant Fry and co-affiant Detweiler with the Altoona Police Department were dispatched to 407 East Plank Road, Altoona. Oh, guys, so this is the exact address of the McDonald's, and they are getting so much hate and bad reviews and stuff like that, which we know that's how it always goes. But there was this elderly fella, and he was there that morning at the McDonald's, and he was there with his friends. I think they meet there every Sunday, and he was there with his friends, and one of his friends said, he looks like the shooter, don't you think? And this guy that did the interview, he said he thought he was just joking, and so he went on to church and stuff, and then come to find out later that was him, and the McDonald's worker called after a customer told her and stuff like that. But they think it's the guy that did the interview, and when I seen that, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not even going to play this interview. I'm not going to talk about it. And another YouTuber has that fellow on his thumbnail, and it says hero from McDonald's calls or something like that, and it has his picture. And then at the beginning of that video he says, this is the hero that called to alert them about the suspect at McDonald's. And so I left him a comment and said, that's not right, please fix it. But it's still up. And then earlier today, I seen he did another video yesterday saying that they found a bag of bullets in Central Park related to the suspect, and that's not true either. They now say that those are not related to the suspect, so I let him know that, so hopefully he updates that too. But that really bothers me. That's not as bad as about putting that little fellow's face on there and stuff, though, guys. K-Bray says that it's just so sad people that literally help killers get off the street get hate. YouTube has been crazy lately, and I don't like it. Me either, K-Brays. Me either. It's wonderful that the McDonald's employee did the right thing, but I told my friend Debbie it's the people that don't do the right things that I'm worried about, you know? But it says, for a suspicious male who resembled the male from a recent shooting in New York from December 4th, officers were advised in the dispatch notes that the male was wearing a medical face and a beanie, face mask and a beanie. Upon arrival, officers were able to locate the male matching the aforementioned description sitting in the rear of the building at a table. He was wearing a blue medical mask and was looking at a silver laptop. No, Heather, he is a little fella. Oh. In the rear of the building at a table, he was wearing a blue medical mask and was looking at a silver laptop computer that was placed at the table. The male also had a backpack on the floor near the table he was sitting at. Co-affiant made contact with the male and informed that officers were called to the McDonald's for a suspicious male matching his description. He asked the male to pull down his medical mask so he could see his face. The male complied and pulled down his mask. So affiant and co-affiant immediately recognized him as the suspect from New York City incident after seeing photos released of him from media sources. They asked the male for identification and provided officers a New Jersey driver's license bearing the name Mark Rosario and a date of birth 7/21/1998. So I looked at these, and he didn't put the same birthdays. His birthday is in May, so he at least thought to do that. Affiant took the license and ran the information through the dispatch center. He asked the male if he had been to New York recently, and the male became quiet and started to shake. Additional units from the Altoona Police Department arrived on scene to assist in identifying the male. At this time, dispatch was unable to find any information on NCIC with the information provided by officers. Lieutenant Hanley arrived on scene. Hey, it's just me. How are you? It's so good to see you. And ran the information the male provided to officers, but still found that no record was able to be found. The male was advised that he was under an official police investigation, and if he lied about his identity, he would get arrested. The male then stated that his name was the defendant, Luigi Mangione, with the date of birth 5/16/1998. It's just me. Have you been following this case? I haven't gotten to talk to you lately about it. It's been crazy though, that's for sure. So then he decided to give him the right name, and the driver's license that the defendant provided to officers was found to be a fake identification card. He asked the defendant why he lied about his name, and the defendant replied, "I clearly shouldn't have." The lieutenant then instructed officers to place the defendant into custody for forgery, false identification. The defendant was placed into custody. He was handcuffed and was searched on scene. The defendant was then transported back to the jail where his property was inventoried. And during a search of his backpack, they located a black 3D printed pistol and a black silencer. The pistol had a metal slide and a plastic handle with a metal threaded barrel. The pistol had one loaded Glock magazine with 6 9mm full metal jacket rounds. There was also one loose 9mm hollow point round. The silencer was also 3D printed. Yeah, K-Praise, that's what K-Brace says the words on the bullet casings were kind of interesting to me. K-Brace, did you know that it was deny, defend, and depose? They think that it was about that book on Amazon that's about how people, how insurance companies deny others' claims. They believe that's where they came from. Yeah. Okay, guys, so that was the criminal complaint to get him arrested in Pennsylvania. And this is from the police body cam, and this is what he looked like. If he would have kept the mask off, I don't think he would have been easily identified. Do you guys? Like, I couldn't tell that was him without it, but you look kind of suspicious with that on. Oh, I did find today that a hotel in Altoona, they said that he had came there before he went to this McDonald's trying to get a room. So I'll be curious to find out where all he has been between leaving New York until he ended up here. I think they said he went to Philadelphia and one other place in Pennsylvania too. Um, yeah, K-Brace, why didn't he trim his eyebrows? That's a very good point. Mm-hmm. Very good point. Oh, okay, and so this is the ID that this is the fake ID he had on him, and the one that he used to check into the hostel in New York. Um, Heather Bratt says, "No, I don't think so. If he had the mask off, maybe the eyebrows would have given him away, but it looks like the hat was down over them." Yeah, that's true too. I think it was. Yeah. And this is when they got him back to the jail. Look at this jacket, you guys. I think, okay, this was not the jacket that he was wearing when he did the shoot, and that one had pockets at the front. But I think that this is the jacket that he had in when he was in the taxi. I think that's the one that he had. He don't look real happy, does he? And then this is when they got him back there too. You guys see what I'm saying about this picture? I did verify it. And if this picture is fake, then a lot of news stations are using a fake picture too. You see what I'm saying? Um, so that's why I kind of felt sorry for him too, you guys. I gotta say, hey Sunday Doodles, how are you? It's so good to see you. It's good to see all you guys. Um, so then so after he had to also have an arrest warrant for so that they could take him back to New York. And I also have it, which if you guys have been watching the court cases, they're not going to be able to. He's fought extradition, so it's going to be a little bit harder and take a little bit longer to get him back to New York than everybody would like. Let's see here. I gotta pull my computer closer to me so I can see this, you guys. Oh my goodness. Why didn't I just zoom in? Hello. I was old school pulling my computer closer, you guys. Oh my goodness. Hi, Pepper. How are you? It's good to see you. Capri says, and didn't they say he had a passport? Is that because he's from somewhere else or he was getting ready to go somewhere else? I didn't hear about the passport, Capri, but actually he was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, and he went to a super expensive all boys school, like 40 grand a year. And then he graduated in 2016 as valedictorian. And then he went to the next thing. Oh, then he graduated at Penn State, and he graduated with his bachelor's and his master's in engineering in the same year. Usually what you do, you guys, is you do your 4-year degree, I think. So please correct me if I'm wrong. Then it takes like a year and a half to get your master's degree after that. But he was doing it all at the same time and got them both in 2020. So he's super smart, you guys, and totally threw his life away. I keep thinking, his grandparents are super duper mega rich, and he could have just changed the healthcare industry in a better way instead of throwing his life away like this, you know? Um, oh, okay, Heather. She says he did have a passport, but Ellie didn't believe he was trying to flee the country. Yeah. Um, so, um, so then so he could have totally made a difference that way. I don't know. But then after he graduated in 2020, the next thing I knew was that he was living in Hawaii in a community where they all live together, but they work remotely. And that's when his roommate said that he had a lot of back problems. They said that he hurt his back just going, I'm not sure if this is the first time he hurt it, but surfing, he hurt his back, and he was, they had to get him a firmer bed and everything. And so he ended up coming back home in 2022 to where his parents lived because of back problems. And he went back to Hawaii for a little bit. And then the last thing was, I don't know if you guys have heard this, I'm seeing it more frequently now, but on November 18th, his mom she did a missing report on him from San Francisco. So I guess that's where he was living most recently, was San Francisco. And so he'd been missing at least since then. And then the next thing we knew was he was in New York City to kill Mr. Brian Thompson, you know. Hey, Queen of Hearts, Charnel, how are you? It's good to see you. Yeah, that's very true. Well, maybe not. Pepper says, if I had heard correctly, the grandparents own several nursing homes and country clubs. They do. They're big real estate developers, and they do own 2 country clubs. And then this, I can't remember the name of the parent company that they named the healthcare parts, but they do own assisted living homes. And that's what I'm saying, you guys. This kid could have made a big difference just starting with his own grandparents, you know. And they own a radio station too. And I'm not really for sure what his parents do. They have made his cousin is a delegate for the government, and he is the one that put out a statement on behalf of their family, and I got it, and I'll read that for you guys too. So this is the arrest warrant from New York. Oh, I'm not sure, Pepper. I do know that he has 2 older sisters, and the one that I seen was quite a bit older than him. Well, she's in her 30s. I'm not sure. Yeah, he did have so many opportunities, so much potential, you guys, absolutely. Okay, it says, on or about December 4th at about 6:44 a.m. outside 1335 Avenue of the Americas in the county and state of New York, the defendant, with intent to cause the death of another person, caused the death of such person, the defendant possessed a loaded firearm with intent to use it unlawfully against another. The defendant possessed a loaded firearm outside of his home and place of business. The defendant uttered and possessed a forged instrument of a kind specified in Section 170 with knowledge that the instrument was forged and with intent to defraud, deceive, and injure another. The defendant possessed firearm silencer. Wow. Queen of Hearts Charnel says, yep, I'm good. Thank you. 3 months and 1 day sober on my way to 33 years. Absolutely. Absolutely. I really am proud of you for that. My dad has had a lot of issues with things like that in the past. And he's been doing really good for going on 2 years now. So I see the struggles, you know, and unless you have been there or seen somebody go through it, you really don't understand how hard it is. And I'm so very proud of you. We all are. We all are. K-Bray says 3D printers are going to be so helpful and hurtful in the near future, I feel like. Yep, just like AI, huh? You can use it for bad or use it for good. The factual basis for these charges are as follows. I have reviewed surveillance video depicting the exterior of the Hilton at above location, specifically a camera angle depicting 54th Street between 7th Avenue and Avenue of the Americas. In the surveillance footage, at approximately 6:44 a.m., a man Wearing a distinctive clothing outfit, the shooter approached Brian Thompson from behind, and then the shooter held what I recognized to be a firearm with a silencer attached at the end and fired it several more times at Brian Thompson, causing him to collapse on the ground. And remember, we saw that video last time, and he it looks like he shot him in the leg first and then shot him in the back at least too. That was in the back, you guys, too. It's awful anyways, but in the back was especially cowardice, in my opinion. Oh my goodness, Brad, we did. We brained big time. Yeah. I am informed by Detective Oscar Diaz, Shield number 4656 of Manhattan South Homicide Squad, that he was present for the autopsy of Brian Thompson and that the cause of Mr. Thompson's death was determined to be a gunshot wound to the torso. The defendant is the person shooting and killing Brian Thompson in the above described surveillance footage based upon evidence collected during the investigation, including but not limited to surveillance footage that I've reviewed from the New York City hostel, and then it gives the address, which depicts the same man wearing the same clothing leaving the hostel on December 4th about 5:34 a.m. Surveillance footage that I've reviewed from that same hostel that depicts the same man checking into hostel on November 24th at about 11:20 p.m. as showing a driver's license upon check-in. I've reviewed the business records from the hostel that showed that the man provided a New Jersey driver's license with the same name of Mark Rosario on it. You guys, that is where they got the photo of him with his mask down. What if the front desk clerk, what if she hadn't decided to, play it up and play, kind of flirt with him and him flirting with her, and she got him to pull it down? What if that didn't happen? It would have been so much harder to identify him, I think. I am informed by Detective Diaz that he is informed by Patrolman Tyler Fry, badge number of Altoona Police Department, that on December 9th at 9:58 a.m., defendant was taken into custody at McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. That defendant presented a forged New Jersey driver's license with the name of Mark Rosario as his identification, which, based on the number on it, was the same identification defendant presented at the hostel, and that in defendant's belongings, Patrolman Christy Wasser found a semi-automatic pistol with what appears to be a 3D printed loaded receiver with a metal slide and silencer and written admissions about the crime. So that he also had a spiral bound notebook and also what they're calling the manifesto. And I'll tell you guys something else about the manifesto in just a minute. Well, and then they sign it. So that's all that we've got there. About the manifesto, you guys, there is this guy on Twitter, Ken. Let me see his first name. Right here, Ken Lippenstein. And he was the first one to, hey, Broken Justice, how are you? It's good to see you. He was the first one that I saw that that posted about it. And Crime Online, which is Nancy Grace's website, and then TMZ said that their police sources said that what Ken posted highly resembles the manifesto in their possession, but they can't verify it specifically because the one that they have in custody was handwritten, and the one that Ken has, I think somebody deciphered what was written and he posted about it. He typed it up, so they said some of the words might be, a little bit, interpretation might be a little bit up, but I think it's the real one, you guys. So we can look at it. He also said that the other big websites and newspapers won't publish it. They'll publish pieces of it, but they won't publish it for some reason because they think that, I guess, it'll make copycats, but that cat's already out of the bag, if you ask me. We're going to look at some of that too, all the people that are supporting him and stuff like that. This one lady got fired already, and then this other professor, she had to issue an apology. It's crazy, guys. I usually don't cover big cases, guys, but I figured that you guys might be feeling the same way as I am about this one. Like, you you feel for the dude because big insurance sucks big time. I mean, a lot of us have had to deal with the idiots and, yeah, big corporations and black, what is it, red tape? Blue, black, or red tape. You guys know how hard it is, and you have to get the bureaucracy of this pre-authorization, and then that pre-authorization, and then you still have to do this and that. Your doctor has to do this and that, and it sucks big time. But still, it is no reason to take the life of another. In my opinion, that is only God that can do that, not us. It is not all right. And 71 says there's no excuse for killing people over health insurance. Exactly. The only reason that we should take another life is self-defense, in my opinion. And I won't. Well, yeah, and yeah, and then if somebody hurts our kids and stuff, you know, well, you really still shouldn't do that then. But I could see how that would be that would be a crime of passion. You couldn't control yourself during something like that, is what I'm saying. But not over this stuff. Oh, Saturday night at 8:30. Okay, sure. That sounds great. I go to bed really early, Broken Justice. Like, I'm talking like 7 o'clock, but I'll really try to take a nap that day so I can come and hang out with you guys. I sure will. Okay, so this is Ken Klippenstein's. He's also on Substack, but this is what he says about the manifesto. He says, oops, let me get you guys. Okay. Um, red tape. Okay. Okay. Oh, I would have said pink. I should have said pink tape. Sunday says, poor guy had a family. They are the victims this a-hole left behind. Exactly. Exactly. I knew you guys would feel like I do. Or we could discuss it if we felt differently, too. Okay, it says, I've obtained a copy of suspected killer Luigi Mangione's manifesto, the real one, not the forgery circulated online. Major media outlets are also in possession of the document, but have refused to publish it and not even articulated a reason why. My queries to the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, and NBC to explain the rationale for withholding the manifesto while gladly quoting from it selectively have not been answered. I'll have more to say on this later on how unhealthy the media's drift away from public disclosure is, but for now, here's the manifesto. And it says, to the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, and they did say that the spiral notebook, they do have that. I really am, Brett. I was doing better. I was taking a nap and staying up till like 9 or 10, but not lately with the time change. Um, He says the spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the number one most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly 42 in life expectancy. United is the, and it says indecipherable, so I guess they couldn't figure out what that said, but it's United Healthcare. Largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. So you guys, United Healthcare, they make as much money just behind Apple, Google, and Walmart. How crazy is that to think? Hey, Neat Noodle, happy Thursday. How are you? It's good to see you. Yeah, Broken Justice. But if anybody's up at 4 or 5 a.m. ready to party, so am I. Oh, it has grown and grown, but as our has our life expectancy? No, the reality, these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument, but many have illuminated the corruption and greed, e.g., Rosenthal Moore, decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I'm the first to face it with such brutal honesty. So that is the alleged manifesto, you guys. I have to say alleged because I haven't seen it for myself, but I do believe, from what I've gathered, I do believe, in my opinion, that that is it. Um, yeah, I was hippie chick. I sure was. Oh, I sure was. Okay, you guys. So after he was arrested, that night they had to bring him to court for something. I'm not. I don't remember exactly what that was, but then after then the next day they brought him back to court, and I think that was whether, I think he had to plea and then also either waive his extradition or fight, and him and his lawyers decided not to waive extradition. So New York, the governor has to sign a warrant within 30 days saying that that is really him and the person that did it, and his lawyer has to do something within 15 days. But what I want to show you guys is him coming out of court, coming out of the police car and going into the court. He said something that I can't really make out. I'm going to show it to you guys, and then I'll tell you what his lawyer said, what that outburst was. So let me see here. So I screen recorded this, and I'll turn it up if we need to. So if I blast you guys, watch out because I turned it up.
Don't, don't.
Oh my God! That's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
He said completely unjust and something to the American people. Yeah, I was telling them, Neat, that my friend told me that empathy is understanding, but not excusing, and we were discussing that too. I think that's how a lot of us feel. K Ray says, when is the last time anyone has heard anyone stand up or take any kind of actions toward insurance companies? Yeah, that's true. That's true, K Brace, but not in this. Well, I do have to tell you guys something good that has happened. I think because of this is that they some company, I can't remember which one, they were starting to I have it here somewhere, but they were going to start limiting how long a person could be anesthesia, like only cover, if you had a surgery, only cover so much of your anesthesia. So I was thinking, okay, so our doctor's going to try to hurry up and get it done in that certain time, or are you you'll just be billed for it no matter how much it is if it takes longer, you know? But they did go back on that. That is no longer happening. And we'll probably look through it here. Um, so that's no longer happening. Okay, you guys. So what his lawyer said had happened was that he had not. That's true. The night before, he hadn't given an attorney. He spoke for himself, and he said that he was angry that he didn't have an attorney yet. That's what his attorney said. I don't know, you guys. I think that we will hear what exactly his attorney said. Um, Let me see here. I tried to find stuff on different stations because I know that you guys can watch what's on News Nation and stuff pretty easily, and so I wanted to find other things. Let me see here. I did find. Oh, let me see here. Okay, this interview, you guys. it, we'll hear his this is his roommate in Hawaii, and we'll hear his side of it. So we might not be able to hear the questions, but the whole interview was on CNN, and I was scared to play that. I don't know if they'll strike me or not. Pepper, he really is. But one of my friends and my subscribers, she's from that area, and she says that he's actually gotten a lot of people off. And she said, don't let his appearance and attitude fool you. He's actually a pretty nice, a pretty smart guy. So I don't know. Yeah. Oh, guys, I gotta tell you this right quick too. Okay, so oh, I have to share this with you guys first too. I messed up. But I told you guys that he had a back injury, right? Well, a lot of people are saying, well, him fighting with the cops, like we just saw when he got out of the car, it doesn't seem like somebody with a back injury could do that. And also, somebody with a back injury couldn't, how could they bike all that way and stuff? Which it is an e bike, but still, you have to bike a little bit, don't you? So I agree with that.
Mobile, knowing the kind, person that I saw and knew. Well, actually, we have an interview process because when you throw a bunch of people living together, you need to hopefully make sure they work well. And I interviewed him before he moved in. He works in tech. He has a remote position. He was looking forward to living in Hawaii and being healthy. He was excited about getting new people, experiencing new culture. No, no, no. It's very natural. Our members all have remote jobs, and Hawaii is one of those places that many people would love to live. So we provide kind of an all-inclusive living experience. So it makes it easy for them to move to the islands. Mhm. He was a very thoughtful person. Communicated really well, was friendly, had good relationships with everyone. He was even, in some ways, a bit of a leader. He helped spearhead a book club that we started just so we could, keep those.
This is another thing, you guys. I heard that book club that he started, a lot of people left because they didn't agree with his choices in books. And his Goodreads list and reviews and stuff is on Reddit, but I haven't looked into that really well yet.
In our intellectual pursuits alive from back when we were in school. Mm-hmm. Well, I remember when. Mhm. Yeah, so when I first interviewed him before he moved in, I remember he said he had a back issue and he was hoping to get stronger in Hawaii. So he's always focused on trying. When he first came, he went on a surf lesson with other members, and unfortunately, just a basic surf lesson, he was in bed for about a week. We had to get a different bed for him that was more firm, and I know it was really traumatic and difficult. When you're in your early 20s and you can't, do some basic things, it can be really, really difficult. But he bounced back from it. Mhm. Yeah, I took him to yoga. Mhm. I don't. The only thing he ever mentioned, he mentioned, "Oh, I need to go back to see my doctor, and then I'm going to have surgery." I encouraged him and brought him to yoga classes. He would do calisthenics on his own. I know he was really focused on being strong and healthy, but it also weighed on him that he knew that there was an impending surgery.
And also, guys, the recent surgery that he had, he told others that it went so great, that it went a lot better. He had written somewhere on Reddit maybe, and he was saying how well that his surgery had went, and he said he knows that a lot of back fusions don't take, but his did, and he was really happy for that. Here, this fellow says that Luigi even had trouble being romantic with women. So that was another before his surgery. So that was another reason that I felt empathy for him.
I apologize. I haven't read any of the media that's happened. I heard about it when a reporter called me. So I'm not familiar with what his writings were, but I know we talked about social issues and we talked about how to improve the world, and we talked about issues that are say with capitalism or with the healthcare system or with housing or the food systems. It wasn't anything specific. It wasn't like he had an axe to grind or he was even upset or angry about a particular issue, or they were just natural intellectual conversations that you have when you're inquisitive. Mhm. Mostly just text messages. So I knew he was going to have a surgery. So earlier this year, I checked in with him. He confirmed that he had surgery, and he sent me the X-rays. It looked heinous with just giant screws going into his spine. After that, he called me once. I didn't pick up. We kind of texted a little bit, but last I unfortunately, I feel terrible now. I wish, I would have made more of an effort to communicate with him.
Guys, I do have to say this too. Okay, I'll show you guys what his on his Twitter. He does have a photo of his X-ray, and it looks a lot like mine actually. I had a burst fracture at T12, and they told my mama that they had to dig it out like popcorn and put it back together with a titanium cage and screws and stuff. And but you guys know I'm not mean. I don't want to hurt people, and I try to use my injury for good to encourage others. I never use it as an excuse or anything like that. I try to use it as encouragement. I didn't even tell people online that I was hurt for the first year or two because I wanted them to know me for me and not just my injury, you know? So, so yeah, not, it's not an excuse. His injury is not an excuse. And I'm poor and he's rich. I'm sure he wouldn't have to worry about, his parents or grandparents would pay for any kind of, they would make sure that he'd get it done. And like I told you guys, I had to make payments on my first wheelchair. So yeah, not an excuse.
Um, oh, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question? Mm. Never once talked about guns, never once talked about violence. He was absolutely a not violent person, as far as I could tell. Yeah. And when I say that, Mhm, mhm, mhm. Personally, I can make zero sense of it. There's never justification for violence. We live in a democratic system with processes and procedures to address, our issues, and I can make it, no sense of it.
Okay, guys, I have one more from another
We've learned so many.
and I figured we could watch that one too because it's pretty interesting and it's not on a lot of the news sites either. Let me find it and then I'll come back and get you guys. You guys, I had all of this fixed and I have three different folders for this case. Usually I just have one. Usually I just have one folder and in this one I have Brian Thompson and then Luigi and then off of Luigi's I have the his supporters. And so I it's hard for me to find everything. Actually, the more folders, the harder it is to find everything. Let me see here. I had one more from his friend. Let me see here. Oh, okay, I got it. He is a classmate from him who went to the all boys school with him. And this was an all boys school that cost around 40,000, I think, if not 40,000 a year, 40,000 a semester, but that's still a whole lot. Um, let's see here. Now I'll come back and get you guys. Autocorrect changed Bear changed Brat to Bear the other night, so now I've been calling her Brat Bear. It sure did. Okay, let's see here.
How do you know him? What school did you guys go to? How long did you know him for?
So I knew him. I came into the school in eighth grade. I knew him eighth grade throughout high school. But I obviously knew him. We were a small class, small school, only about 400 kids in the high school, maybe like 85 to 100 in my class. So everybody knew everyone really.
So, what were your interactions like? How well did you know him? How many times did you speak to him? What do you remember?
I would say I spoke to him pretty frequently. He was like a leader in our class, so I'm not quite sure the exact clubs because it's a while back, but he was like a leader of clubs. He was in many clubs. He was also like a soccer player as well. He played baseball, I believe, in middle school, but I think he stopped after that. But everyone just knew him as like a quiet, reserved, nice kid, and he was obviously really intelligent, and everybody can tell that by his resume, of course. Yeah.
So he's a valedictorian, and
Yeah.
then had a speech at your.
Yeah. So he spoke at our graduation. Every year they have like somebody who's, exceeds academically and in and out of the classroom, and they have them speak in front of our high school. It's weird saying it, but yeah, he was that person that we chose to speak. So yeah.
Okay, so you've been following this case pretty closely. When
Mhm.
you saw the photo with him wearing his mask, what were your thoughts?
My first thoughts, well, I've had like a history just following like high profile cases. It was
That's another thing, you guys. You would think that his family or his friends, like this dude went to high school with him his whole high school. Well, I think that Luigi went to the school from sixth grade until he graduated. And you would think that somebody would have recognized him. But even if you did say, well, hey, that looks like my friend Luigi, you would say, no, there's no way. So I don't blame his friends or family for not recognizing him.
just interesting to me personally. When I saw the photo, like I thought it was like a 35-year-old guy. It was like he's a good looking dude, like sharp jawline kind of thing. But I had no hindrance that it was him. I mean, in the back of my mind, I was like, I feel like that face is familiar, but it was like subconsciously, not really like on the forefront.
So when did you find out, and what's your reaction to it?
hmm So when I found out, I had like 25, 30 text messages from all different people from like, I'm from Baltimore, obviously, where we went to school together. And everybody that I know from Baltimore is reaching out to me like, did you know this guy? Did you go to school with him? He graduated in the same class as you. And of course, I, replied to all of them after a while and said, yeah. So my initial reactions were just shock, surprise, and I just would never expect someone who went to our school to, be involved in this. So it was just shock, really. I'm still shocked.
And what year did you graduate?
2016.
Okay, from 2016 until now, have you spoken to him at all or seen anything?
Music City Mom, it's so good to see you. Have you been following this case? And if so, how do you feel about it? If you want to share with us, I'm curious. I feel, you know, empathy for a 20-year-old kid who went through so much with his injuries and everything, but we don't excuse his actions at all.
On Facebook? Are you friends with him on Facebook?
I like followed him on Instagram. I think we like went back and forth here and there, just like touching base with each other. I hadn't spoke to him in maybe like 4 years prior to this though. Recently, like when we went right out of high school, we would check up on each other here and there. But I do know that a lot of people that I went to high school with that were a little bit closer to him said they lost contact with him about like a year and a half ago. So.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just praying for the, family, of course, and Gilman community, my high school, and yeah, just Stanford and Penn community as well. I pray for them. I hope this doesn't have a negative perception on them.
Whoa, guys, uh, I've got our volume boosted a little much, I think, on the end. It about got us. Um, it's just me. Kentucky said that Mo has made you the strong person you are today. Thank you. Thank you so very much. It wasn't a choice. You know, some people say, well, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it if I was paralyzed, but you don't know that until you're in that situation. You have to do it, but it is a choice with your attitude sometimes. I in the small town where I live, there was another fella that there was two fellas that were hurt before me that were around my age, and one of them, I said, well, my physical therapist, she ran this group for people in wheelchairs, and so she knew him. And I said, well, can I speak to him to see, to see how he does this or that? And she says he won't speak to anybody. He stays at home and he won't speak to anybody that's hurt too. And but there was this other fellow, and I will always be thankful for him. I went to his work actually, and I don't want to dox him or anything, but he does a business that a lot of able-bodied people couldn't do. It takes physical stuff and mental stuff, and he showed me how he did that and how he drove and stuff. And so that's the two sides. You can share your knowledge with others, or you can be in such a bad mood all the time nobody wants to be around you, is how I see it. But thank you so very much. um Music City Mom says she has been watching this case. She says, I work in healthcare billing. I understand the frustration, but no reason to ruin his life doing this. I have a coworker that worked with Mr. Thompson previously. Oh, wow. Yeah, you seem to feel the way that we all feel. Yeah, you're exactly right. Someday he could have had deep tissue massage every day of the week. You're absolutely right. Hey, Trista. We love you and we're thinking about you so very much. Thank you for stopping by. Um, Trista had a death in the family, you guys, so please send your prayers up for her. Thank you so very much for thinking about us. Um, okay, guys, I think that now what I want to show you guys is the DA and his lawyer did interviews with News Nation, so I will have to show, you guys might have already seen this, but I haven't watched these all the way through yet, and I thought they might be interesting to do it. And then after this, I'll show you guys the professor that got booted. Well, no, she didn't get booted. She had to apologize. Okay, this is up here. Let's see. So let's watch what his lawyer has to say. I'll share this with you guys so you can watch it on your own time too. Oh no, guys. I pressed the wrong button. Okay.
Exclusive interview on behalf of the accused is counsel Thomas Dickey, attorney for the 26-year-old man charged in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Counsel, thank you for joining us.
And thank you, Chris.
So your client had an opportunity to say you got the wrong guy, never did. He apologizes in his manifesto for the pain he has caused. He gave voice to his motivation today in front of the cameras, and yet am I correct that you believe you don't think he did it?
Well, Chris, one thing I always liked about watching you is you're a lawyer, okay? So I don't know if you've done much criminal work or not, but my client hasn't faced any actual criminal charges from New York yet. So he hasn't had an opportunity to make any plea. My anticipation is going to be when, and if that happens, he's going to plead not guilty. I mean, we've seen no evidence. We've seen nothing. And I was reminding people today about, you talk about America a little bit and what some wonderful things about this country, and particularly in the criminal justice system, and that's the presumption of innocence. And I don't want people to jump to, these prejudgment things, because nobody would ever want that if they were accused or one of their loved ones were accused. And as the big hearing today, I haven't seen any evidence yet. I don't even know if this is him or whatever. So we're going to test those waters and give the government a chance to bring some evidence forward.
Do the job. Let me ask you something.
See, his defense attorney, he's saying, I don't know if it's him or not. He can't break client attorney privilege, but also for extradition, New York has to prove that it's him. So I think that's why he keeps saying that, because the governor has to sign a warrant proving that it's him. And I think he's trying to get evidence that way too, also. But I think that's why he keeps saying that the way that he does.
Something in terms of developing why he would not be responsible. What understanding do you have about this quiet period that this guy had, where nobody could get in touch with him after his surgery, where people were worried about him, that led his family to report him missing? What do you know about that period?
I know nothing about that, Chris. So I wouldn't comment on that, and I would only be speculating, and I don't even know what's out there.
But don't you have to? I mean, that's pretty much all you have, isn't it?
Well, yeah, Chris. And like I said, I'm not, if I disappoint you, I'm sorry and too bad. But I've been involved in this case for, probably less than, 12 hours now. And
Did you hear him? He said, "Sorry if I disappoint you, but too bad." Oh my goodness, you guys. They've been saying that he's like Uncle Vinny or Cousin Vinny, and I see that too. I haven't watched that movie in forever, but that's brought up that memory. I'm gonna have to watch that. Oh my goodness.
And I've, as a lawyer should do, is I got to look at evidence, and I'm not going to go by conjecture and opinions and speculation what people think. We as lawyers look at evidence. So tomorrow will be another day, and we're gonna start looking into that.
Have you had a chance to speak to your client?
I have.
And how did you meet him in terms of his demeanor and disposition towards this?
As I told everybody today, Chris, my idea was to develop a relationship, a bond, so to speak, an attorney-client relationship, where I want to have him have trust and faith in me, and vice versa. And so I thought that we accomplished that today, and so I'm pleased with that in the short time we've had together.
Is there anything he wanted you to express to the rest of us?
Not really. And if he did, Chris, you're familiar with the attorney-client privilege, and I can't talk, and I won't talk about anything that
That's why I asked you. That's why I asked you, did he ask you to express anything to the rest of us? Not, did he tell you a secret that you feel like sharing?
Well, no, if you ask me what he asked me, that is a conversation we've had, and I think that's attorney-client privilege, and I'm not going to touch that. In all due respect.
That's not what I'm asking. How did you assess him in terms of, does he seem okay to you? Did he seem healthy? Did he seem able to focus and understand you? Did he seem balanced?
Well, I think he made some knowing decisions today when we decided that we're challenging this extradition. I don't make those evaluations necessarily at this level, and so he seemed to understand my questions. He seemed to be able to interact with me, and so I was pleased with that.
How would you assess his mood? Did he seem upset? Did he seem worried?
Well, here's what I tell everybody, Chris, today is, use your common sense. You're a young man or an old man, whoever you are, and you're accused of he hasn't been accused yet that I've seen.
Guys, I saw something else too, that this one person said that they think this case will be a slam dunk because they have the manifesto, the notebook, the gun. Oh, they do say that the bullets at the scene do match his gun. They did ballistics. And they also said that, remember, he went to Starbucks that morning and he bought a water bottle and some energy bars. They said that his fingerprint does match the water bottle. But you guys, remember when before they had him and they were talking about the evidence, they said the fingerprint was too smudged. But now it matches him. I do have a question about that. But they said that it's not a slam dunk because the 12 people on the jury, some of them could be the ones that are like these supporters that say, oh, well, it had to be done. And Brian Thompson, his company kills 68,000 people a year waiting for procedures. And so he's just one life, stuff like that, which I do not agree with at all, but that's the stuff I've been seeing. So this lady said some of the people on the jury could be like that. And so it's not a slam dunk. I thought that was interesting.
But the talk and the anticipation, probably out there is that he may be charged with a very serious offense. He's certainly behind bars, which I believe is wrong. I felt that the judge should have set bail today.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact
Sorry, guys, I lost my pop-out chat on YouTube, so that's how I read chat while I'm looking on different screens. If somebody tells you that they're not seeing your comments, they can do the pop-out chat. But anyways, I lost my pop-out chat, so I had to go back in my app, and I was getting it again. So that's why it took me a second to come back. Pepper says, I think they're still waiting for DNA results, and then it's sealed. Yeah, yeah. And then he left his jacket in that backpack. Guys, that's another question. He had a backpack when they found him at McDonald's. So was it a different? Did he have two backpacks that morning, or did he buy another backpack somewhere, or what? I was thinking about that too. Okay, now we can watch the DA, what he says, you guys. I have that for us too. Let me see here.
Let's get to your top story as we're learning brand new details about the suspect accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A first-degree murder charge could be soon added. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg spoke out Wednesday saying he's confident in getting Luigi Mangione, that is, to New York. He is that suspect. Bragg said that the 26-year-old could face additional charges beyond the second-degree murder charges that he is currently facing. And now, Mangione was arrested Monday in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He was in court in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, where his attorney indicated that he will be fighting extradition back to New York.
Luigi Mangione, and it's completely out of touch. And the intel, the intelligence of the American people, it's lived experience.
Now, Mangione is being held without any bail in Pennsylvania, so we're wondering what is next for him. We have a very special guest I'm so honored to have on the program. Let me welcome now the district attorney in Blair County, Pennsylvania, where Luigi Mangione was picked up, where he's currently facing charges, Attorney Pete Weeks. Pete, good morning to you. And I just want to start by saying I have heard such wonderful things about you. I'm licensed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and you have a wonderful reputation in the community that you serve. And you've been there a long, long time. And we're so pleased to have you on this program to talk about this case. So if we could we start with the questions surrounding the extradition process?
Brett, are you like me? I go to sleep listening to true crime stuff. I have to, but if I can't watch horror movies like the ones that are fake. I cannot watch those. I think it was my mama. I think she scarred me when I was little because she wouldn't let me watch them, and so then when I got older, I watched them and they scared me too much. So I don't know if you guys are like that or not. Might just be.
What is this looking like? What is the timeline, please? Would you kindly walk us through that?
Good morning. Sure. So essentially, if someone is contesting extradition, our obligation is to prove that they are the individual that the requesting state is seeking. So we're in the process of working with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the state of New York to secure what's called a governor's warrant. Once we secure that governor's warrant, we are going to file a request with the court to schedule a hearing as soon as possible. The court may schedule a hearing in the interim, but our burden is essentially to prove that the defendant is who New York is seeking. And if we establish that, which we're...
See, you guys, he has to prove that the defendant is who New York is seeking. See, that's why I said I think that's why the lawyer keeps saying, I don't even know if it's him. So that's what they have to prove first. This law, it's so much pieces that has to happen, over time. So they have to get the extradition stuff first before it even gets to the criminal trial stuff.
We're confident we'll be able to establish that, then the extradition can be completed and he will be sent to New York.
Pete, thank you for that. So for anybody wondering how the hearing goes, this isn't anything like a trial, is it? Or even anything like a preliminary hearing? Would you kind of explain the pieces of information you might introduce at the extradition hearing?
Certainly. We are not going to be involved in presenting any evidence relative to the crime that is, for the state of New York. The extradition process, again, is simply identifying and confirming for our court that the defendant is the individual listed and sought in the arrest warrant issued by the Manhattan County District Attorney's Office and the New York City Police Department. So our burden is to establish his identity and that he is the person on that warrant. And we will do that through a variety of methods. And I expect to include his live scan fingerprints, as well as other evidence that he is the individual who New York is seeking.
Extradition, all about the identification if someone is contesting it. Thank you for that, Pete. I want to take a look at the charges he's facing in your jurisdiction. Now, we put together them listed. I want to show them on the screen for everybody at home. So we've got forgery, tampering with records of identification, false ID to law enforcement, possessing instruments of a crime. Pete, what happens with this case in your jurisdiction? How will you proceed with these charges?
2 of those charges are felonies, and so forgery is a grade 2 felony, and carrying a firearm without a license is a grade 3, and the rest are misdemeanors. So the charges in Pennsylvania are relatively small, of course, compared to the ones in New York.
Charges against Luigi Mangione.
Well, our priority is to cooperate with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and New York City Police Department. We intend to focus our efforts right now on making the defendant available to them first for prosecution. Our charges will be held in abeyance pending his availability to us after New York is done prosecuting their case.
So essentially, the Pennsylvania case will follow along with the New York case, right? Seeing as these charges aren't as serious as what he's facing there. So will you kind of watch and wait and see, but he'll still have a detainer in PA, right?
Correct. That's our intention, is to proceed with our charges, but hold our charges, prioritizing the New York prosecution and assisting the authorities in New York in.
Oh, so that makes sense. That hadn't hit me before, you guys, but they're going to go ahead and let him go to New York, but they're going to do the other charges on their side. And then if, Lord forbid, he gets off in New York or something, or gets out on bail, then they'll bring him back, is what I'm taking from it.
Getting the defendant to them so they can begin that process.
Appreciate it, Pete. I want to ask you about where Luigi Mangione is being held, because something that really jumped out at me is that he's not being held in the Blair County, PA jail. He's being held in one of the Pennsylvania state prisons, SCI Huntington, which, as you know, is a rough place. You don't want to go there. Would you speak to why he's being held in the prison pending this hearing versus the jail?
That was just a logistical conversation that the Altoona Police Department, the Pennsylvania State Police, the authorities in New York, and myself had. We consulted with the warden from the Blair County Prison, as well as the Department of Corrections in Pennsylvania, and we agreed that that would be the ideal place to hold him until extradition can be completed.
Understood. Okay. Pete, I want to talk to you about the tip that came in from someone at a local McDonald's in Blair County. And I know, and this is hearing it from a very close colleague of mine who says how highly regarded you are in the county, and how he really said this is largely to DA Weeks' credit. I think it's his opinion, saying that you've really fostered so much empowerment, cooperation, trustworthiness among members of the community with their local police partners and the members who serve in your office. And he said, really, I think that it's been largely the work you've done for many, many, many years, where people feel empowered to see something, say something, and they trust they're going to be kept safe. Would you speak to what you thought when you heard about that tip coming in that perhaps this wanted?
Guys, I also heard, okay, that the McDonald's worker, first I heard that the McDonald's worker and the customer who brought it to her attention that they were going to split the reward, the 60,000. Well, now I heard that there's a lot of fine print in the FBI reward. So he has to be convicted too first before they'll even think about getting the reward, is what I think. That's what I read, but there's more looking into it, and a lot of people said, well, $60,000 isn't enough to hide your identity because of all these crazy people, and that's true. That's very true, and so I'm praying that they keep this McDonald's worker safe, you guys. I really, really am.
Fugitive was in your jurisdiction.
Well, first of all, I want to make it clear I'm privileged to work in Blair County and for the citizens of Blair County. Blair County has always been a strong law enforcement community. When I came here in 2007, the district attorney that I worked under and my supervisors in the office fostered that relationship with the community and with law enforcement. And I've attempted to continue that relationship. But we're privileged to have members of our community who work with the police, who trust the police. And again, if they see something and they understand that there's something criminal occurring or something that needs to be brought to the attention of the police, whether it be a crime in Blair County, or in this case, someone who is a person of interest at that time in New York, they're going to call the police, as they did, and they're going to let us know what's going on. I've always been proud of the way the community and our law enforcement work together. And you can see that when community and law enforcement work together, and law enforcement works with each other, as they did in this case, that you achieve great results. And if not for the community speaking out and the responding patrol officers being vigilant,
The cops try to say that they had his DNA and his fingerprints. All that they lacked was his name. And so they would have gotten him even without the McDonald's worker. Which, yeah, they could have done his DNA through familial DNA and backtracked him and all that. But that could have given him time to get out of the country and all kinds of other stuff, because we know that he had the means. He could have went to a country without extradition here. And so without the Walmart employee and the customer, I'm not so sure that he would have been caught, really, to tell you the truth.
And aware of what was going on, we may still be looking for this individual. So again, I'm privileged to be able to work in a community that has this level of cooperation.
Beautifully said. Blair County, Pennsylvania District Attorney Pete Weeks on the program this morning.
Okay, guys, I have one more video to show you, and it kind of explains how that Luigi was able to do what he did and to stay uncaught for the time that he did. And then we can look at his supporters and the lady that caused a fuss. Have you guys seen that Taylor Lawrence? She got fired from Vox yesterday because she was on Pierce Morgan, and she said she found she got joy from Brian Thompson's death. And he said joy. And she said, well, maybe not joy, but definitely not sympathy for his family or something like that. And I was scared to show that clip because I don't know if Pierce Morgan, if he strikes or not, but I tell you guys to look it up because it's disgusting too. She has Heather Brad. This is the first I've heard from her. Yeah, that's true too, neat. Yeah. Some people say that he might have wanted to get caught being as sloppy as he was.
How Mangione was able to go under the radar for 5 days.
Yeah, Tara, Juliet Kayyem, she is a national security expert who served in the Obama administration. She says Mangione's background in computer science and his knowledge of technology helped him stay off of investigators' radar, but it was that same technology that ended up working against him.
More than 270 miles away from New York and nearly a week after the crime, it's still being investigated how Luigi Mangione, the man accused in the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, got to Altoona, Pennsylvania undetected. National security expert Juliet Kayyem says it helped he had a background in tech.
He used his smarts, his expertise in engineering and technology, his sort of obsession with gizmos and apps and computers to help him in this murder. This was not, he evaded police for a long time.
Kayyem notes Mangione also had multiple methods of avoiding detection.
Using cash, fake IDs, but also in the perpetration of the assassination itself, he really was good at sort of keeping his profile.
It was kind of smart to use a ghost gun and then because sometimes they keep shell casings on file for from other crimes. So do you guys think that he has committed crimes before this, or that he was going to commit more crimes? I was thinking about that too. And then suppressors are really hard to buy. And so him making his own, I do see that too.
File from being identified.
However, Kayyem says the spotlight on the search was too big because of how prevalent surveillance and camera technology has become. She says the suspect was caught on enough of them, giving police what they needed to put out enough photos of the suspect, which eventually prompted someone to call in a tip.
A lot of those surveillance features helped come up with pictures that would ultimately at least be publicized so that the person at the McDonald's was able to identify him.
Now, police in Pennsylvania and New York say they've received threats since the suspect's arrest. The Altoona McDonald's, where he was found, has hired private security, and Google has taken down a flood of negative reviews that have since been posted because of Mangione's arrest. Denise, back over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Dennis, Tara, stay with WJZ as we...
Okay, guys, now let's look at the supporter stuff. Let me get us into that file, and then I'll come back and get you guys. Okay. So here is a Penn did this poll, and it says, do you condemn Luigi's actions? 37% said yes. You stay silent, outright support, 63%. So that was kind of interesting. I found this on a TikTok where X Twitter, where I found a lot of this other stuff. So this is Professor Julie Alexievia, and she made this TikTok, and it says, have you been prouder to be a professor at the University of Pennsylvania? She is a professor there. Let me find it. Oh, you guys, let's look at there is a legal fund, and it's not on GoFundMe because those are taken down pretty quickly. Let's see how much he's gained. Last night he had 35,000, so I'm interested to know how much he has now. Let's see. 53,000. So he's gotten 20,000 overnight. It says this is a preemptive legal fundraiser for the suspect allegedly involved in the shooting of the United Healthcare CEO. We are not here to celebrate violence, but we do believe in the constitutional right of fair legal representation. Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old born and raised in Maryland, was taken into custody as a suspect in this case on December 9th. Luigi's mailing address has been available, and we are writing him to an open line of communication. In future letters, we will send printouts of selected comments from this fundraising page. Oh, so they're saying give your name and stuff, and we'll send it to him. All proceeds will be sent directly to Luigi, or if he chooses to reject the funds, they will instead be donated to legal funds for other U.S. political prisoners. I don't think that this is a political prisoner, in my opinion. And some of these people I was seeing on here, they give their real names, you guys. Well, most of them are anonymous now, but look, real names. I would never donate to something like this in the first place, but if I did, I would do it anonymously, you know? You guys feel me? Okay, now I have to come back. So I found that last night. That was pretty interesting. Let's see here. So, there's wanted posters in New York now, you guys. There was one for Brian Thompson, you know, the guy that they already found, and they have an X over his face now. So, let's see here. So this says a University of Pennsylvania professor made some of her social media accounts private and appeared to take down her TikTok account after going viral for appearing to celebrate that the suspected killer of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was a graduate of the Ivy League school. Luigi Mangione, 26, is accused of executing. Okay, we already know that stuff. Since Thompson's murder last week, social media has been flooded with posts celebrating or mocking Thompson's killing as justified because of anger people feel about their health insurance claims being denied. That's his mugshot. I don't think I showed that to you guys. It says, after Mangione was taken into custody as a person of interest on Monday, UPenn professor Julia Alexieva appeared to share several social media posts fawning over the murder suspect. In one TikTok, who posts under the name The Soviet, smiles while playing the song Do You Hear the People Sing from the famous musical Les Miserables. The text on screen says, have you been prouder to be a professor at the University of Pennsylvania? She wrote, replacing the E in Pennsylvania with the number 3. Let's see here. She is an assistant professor of English and cinema and media studies at the university and identifies herself as a socialist and ardent anti-fascist. The post picked up steam. UPenn graduate A.L. Jacoby, that's where I found him at. It was on his X. And he wrote, disgusting. UPenn professor Julia celebrates the alleged United Healthcare CEO's assassin and that the murderer attended UPenn. To anyone wondering how America's youth becomes so radical to murder someone, it is because of the extremist professors, which I don't agree with that per se, but that's where so that she's singing, and that's where I don't want to play that, you guys, but if you want to see it, there it is. And then she wrote on her Instagram stories, the icon we all need and deserve, in response to a magazine article purporting to know the murder suspect's sexuality. So this goes on to say that she made it private, and this is what the a University of Pennsylvania spokesperson said in a statement. Much concern was raised by recent social media posts attributed to Assistant Professor Julia Alexeyeva, a University of Pennsylvania spokesperson said in a statement to Fox News Digital. Her comments regarding the shooting of Brian Thompson in New York City were anti-ethical to the values of both the School of Arts and Sciences and the University of Pennsylvania, and they were not condoned by the school or the university. Upon reflection, Assistant Professor has concurred that the comments were insensitive and inappropriate and has retracted them. We welcome this correction and regret any dismay or concern this may have caused. And then it talks about other professors that have done the same thing, you guys. And I don't know where this professor was from, but it says, today we mourn the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, gunned down. Wait, I'm sorry. Today we mourn the deaths of the 68,000 Americans who needlessly die each year so that insurance companies execs like Brian Thompson can become multimillionaires. Anthony Zekis, a senior lecturer in social work at Columbia University School of Social Work, posted to X on December 4th. So yeah, this is the type of stuff that's been happening to you guys. And this is about Taylor Lorenz, and she is a former Washington Post reporter, and it says she shared multiple posts appearing to at least understand the killing while suggesting other health insurance executives should be targeted. Wow. Oh, here's some good news, you guys. It says, hours after news broke of Thompson's death, Lorenz wrote on social media site Bluesky, and people wonder why we want these executives dead, alongside a report about Blue Cross Blue Shield no longer covering anesthesia for the full length of some surgeries. The insurance company has since reversed course on this proposed policy change after facing backlash. So that's good, you guys, that they're not going to limit the anesthesia during surgeries now. So I'm hoping that more things like this happen, you guys. If there's anything good that can come out of it, hopefully things like this is the good that will come of it. It says Lorenz has since repeatedly doubled down, even appearing to tell TV host Piers Morgan that she felt joy over Thompson's murder. That's what I was telling you guys about, that you should look up. I do want to show I think I have a picture of her apology too. That first professor at UPenn that I was telling you guys about, not Taylor Lorenz. I don't even think she's apologized at all. So this is one more of her posts. Let's see. The Soviet, the icon we all need and deserve. Breaking, Luigi Mangione, a friend of mine made out with him while he was a student. For those curious, he is bi, equal opportunity, hashtag. And then we'll look at the other one that she made. These have been deleted. Man engages in beautiful Italian-American tradition of taking matters into his own hands. Oh my goodness, you guys. I don't know how people can feel that this is okay at all. So this is her apology. She deleted all this stuff. And then this is her apology finally. And she's not gonna face any repercussions from the university, is the way I understand it. This apology is all. She says, late last night I posted a TikTok as well as several stories on my Instagram. These were completely insensitive and inappropriate, and I retract them wholly. I do not condone violence, and I am genuinely regretful of any harm the posts have caused. So at least she did apologize, not like the millions of others that are doubling down and not apologizing at all. So that's all that I have for you guys today. I didn't pull up Vanessa's channel, Nature Rocks. Vanessa, will you drop it, please? And this is usually where I go, you guys, to Vanessa's channel to to look at all of her beautiful nature posts at the end of the day, sometimes to get all of this out of my head, and she has beautiful pictures there all of the time, and she's always telling really cool facts about nature too. So she tells you all about it too, not just posting the pictures. And she's gonna be doing lives soon, hopefully too. Um, so you guys check that out. And I think that that's all that I have for you guys today. I'll definitely keep up with this and tell you guys anything else that I find out, or if there's anything else that you guys want to look into that you think is interesting, please email it to me. Or you can contact me on Facebook too. I think this is I think that's the link to Facebook, or it's either this. Oh, that's okay, man. That's okay. There's my Facebook too. If you guys want to follow me, I usually post my stuff there too. Thanks, you guys. Thanks so very much. Pepper says, thanks for the live Mo. Great job. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Sunday, thank you. Thank you all so very much for coming and coming to listen to what I have to say. I don't like to say I cover, quote unquote, cover cases. I just find what I can, and I want to share things, and I figure you guys want to talk about things too. Oh, Stephanie Dameron, you guys, that's the next live that I want to do. Usually I do just one live a week on Mondays, but this week I had to do another one because I had all this in my brain, you guys, and I wanted to get it out. And you too, Neat. Thank you so very much. Thank you, 71. And remember, you guys, we did before last Monday, I did a live about Stephanie Dameron, and she's still missing, you guys, when I checked last, and I found some interviews from her family that we can listen to, and the news coverage about her has kind of died down, and I think it would be good if we spoke more about her. But if there's anything else that you guys find that we need awareness about, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Send me a message on Facebook or an email. Okay? Thank you all so very much for coming. And don't forget to say your prayers and also take your vitamins. It's very important. Talk to your doctor, of course. Don't sue me or anything. But it's really good to take your vitamins, especially your vitamin D, when we don't get as much sunlight these days as we're used to. Okay, I love you all. Thank you so very much. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.